Hi, guys. I had a great opportunity to chat with Stefi Lane on her podcast, and I wanted to share all of that with you. We really talk about my story, how I got into the industry, and really just all my advice and some of my failures and everything that's important to me. So I would love to share that podcast with you so you can listen to it here.
All right. Welcome to the Magnetic Online Leaders Podcast. Today I have Bex Irvine, and Bex is actually a friend and a client and just an incredible person that you have to meet. Hi, Bex.
Hi, thank you for that. It's always nice to hear somebody's intro about you.
Yes. So I guess we'll take it back. We met through a mutual friend, and a mutual acquaintance, a mutual client. She's a friend to everybody. And you were on a panel with her. So you've been this like leader in the hair space for a while in the Austin. It wasn't always like that.
No.
So tell us a little bit about your story about from, who you were before to now, bex+Co and Bex Irvine.
Yeah. So I dropped out of college because I just didn't like it in the beginning. I eventually went back and I enjoyed it, but in the beginning I just didn't know what I liked or what I wanted to do, and stopped going to college and basically told my parents I wanted to go to hair school and be a hairstylist. And fortunately I have really cool parents, and my dad's okay, if that's what you want to do, that's what you should do. So I went to cosmetology school when I was 18 years old, got my license, and I was horrible at it at first. Everybody should know that. I think everybody is bad at it because I'm such a risk taker, I would try like day 2, let's do a full transformation haircut on you, even though I haven't learned how to do it. So I was a mess, but I eventually got a little bit better. I worked in rental salons. I worked in commission salons. I moved to New York City for several years. Amazing experience. Opened a lot of doors for me. Lived in Kentucky for a while, worked there. Majority of the time I worked for other people in commission salons with little rental experiences here and there. And then 12 years ago, I moved to Austin. Didn't know anybody, moved by myself, started working at a really high-end salon here. And I promise I'm getting to the point here, but I worked in a high-end salon that was commission-based, and they were actually a great salon to work for. They had a lot of really cool programs, and I just could not be happy there. No matter what they did, no matter how much I tried to like it, I just didn't like rules. I felt like they were dumb. And I understand why they existed because there were so many employees, but I was like, why? If I take a vacation day, why am I making it up a week later when I don't have any clients on my book? That's silly. And so I started looking for salons where I could rent and be self-employed. But the problem was my clientele was high end at this point. Luxury salon. And a lot of the suite rentals, it's a different experience than walking into a luxury salon. So I decided I would just create my own. So that's where our first bex+Co salon in the domain was born. Several of my friends came to work for me, and we built from there. I feel like
What year did you build it?
It was 2015.
Okay.
2015. And every time I tell this story, or when I listen to other people's story, it's like, long story how you got there. We built our first location, and now there's 7. Just like a big gap in between how you go from 1 to 7. But yeah, 7 locations in Austin. I don't really do a lot of hair anymore. I mostly just coach my stylist, educate on how to go from being a commission stylist to being a rental stylist. And I'm expanding into just general entrepreneurship, whether it's for beauty professionals or for anybody in the small business world.
Yeah. So you had the entrepreneur spirit from the very beginning. Like you were 18 years old and you were questioning everything, which is like step 1 of entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think some of it was just, I loved hair and beauty and makeup and all of that. So tons of people do, but I think the idea of, wait, I need to go to college for 4 years to do something, that speed just didn't work for me. I was like, or I could go to school as a hairstylist and I could be working in 9 months. And something about that was appealing to me. I know it's important to invest time, but especially when I was young, I was like, I don't want to wait 4 years to do something that I don't even know if I want to do. And side note, I was a pre-med major. Which is so
Did you finish
random.
School?
Eventually I did, but I was 27, and I went back like 4 times to do it.
Okay. So there was a lot of resistance to it.
Like
okay.
I literally, and I don't know why I did it, because I think it's just actually I say I finished, I think I'm 4 credits shy from an actual degree. I didn't really, by the time I got to that point, I was like, why am I doing this? This is just, that's when I moved to Austin. I was like, I'm not that into it. I was an English major by the time I finished. So yeah.
Yeah, I studied communication and television and film, and I did not want to go to school. I just did it because that's what everyone said to do.
Yeah.
And then, but my parents didn't go to school. My parents were immigrants, so they didn't go to school. But I was like, everyone just has to go. And I remember just fighting it.
Yes. It was mostly what I was supposed to do. And you know what I got a lot, and this is not to say that I'm just so smart, but everybody would say, you made straight A's in high school and you're just too smart not to go to college and get a degree. It doesn't make sense that someone like you wouldn't go to college and have a job more aligned with the college experience, like whatever that looks like. There's some conception that trade school is for people who aren't as smart or aren't as capable. And that is the biggest myth out there, but it's just what it is.
Yeah. And then, so you went from school to, you had because I know this because you are my client. Yeah. So I know you've had some failures with with a cycling studio and all the things. So talk about your failures and how they helped you catapult from that one salon to 7.
Yeah. When I first starting with bex+Co, I had been in Austin for about 4 years. And the truth is, I didn't have a lot of money. I had maybe $500 in my bank account. I had bad credit, horrible credit. I had a car repossessed once. I made horrible financial decisions when I was young, horrible. And it was all because I like to live very fast paced. I wanted to move to New York City. I had this car I still had a payment on. I couldn't afford to live there and have the car, but I couldn't sell it for some reason. And I just left it. I was like, okay, I'm not going to let this car stand in my way of this opportunity in New York City. And so I just left it, which I realize now. I didn't tell my parents I wasn't paying on it. I just did it. Probably not the responsible thing to do, but I was 21. I don't know. But I've always been that way. So when I decided I wanted to open a salon, I was like, okay, there has to be a way. Somebody's going to give me a lease. And I had to fight for that lease. They looked at me like, wait, you have no money? You have a 580 credit score? You're just a hairstylist? Why in the world would we let you lease this huge commercial space? And I just talked them into it, and they just took a chance on me. And it's cool now because my landlord is like one of my biggest fans now. Like, she's amazing. I am so glad we took that chance on you. And I love to tell your story. So I appreciate that, but it was hard. I didn't have the money. It came down to $18,000 at the end. And I thought we weren't going to open. Like, I was like, okay, it's $18,000 extra. I didn't know I was going to need. I couldn't get loans. And I thought we wouldn't open. It wound up being that my dad is really big on not just giving me money or helping me in ways that could hurt me. So he requires that I get loans and that I prove myself. And so he said, oh, well, I will see if my banker will give you a loan, but you have to pay it back $6,000 a month for the first 3 months, which was scary. I was like, okay. And he was like, okay, you're approved for the loan. Here it is. Come to find out, it was just my dad giving me the money, but he didn't want me to think that I'd gone through this whole journey, and he didn't want to think that I had been bailed out. He didn't want me to live with the idea that I had been bailed out. So I didn't know this until, I don't know, like recently, 10 years later, but he gave me the money. I paid it back because I thought it was to a banker. So I paid $6,000 a month. That was a huge obstacle. But moving on to my cycling studio, bex+Co was doing really good. I was working full time in the business because at that point, I didn't quite know how to scale or how to make enough money. And the truth is, one salon is hard. It's hard until you know how to run it. I was working full time, pumping some money into it. And we decided to open a cycling studio because we were passionate about cycling. So we did. We joined a franchise. We opened this studio. We wound up opening January of 2020. You guys know how that story goes. So we were really excited. We had a lot of momentum. We were actually doing pretty well. I should have gone with a more well-known franchise. This is not to insult the franchise owner that started that one, but it had no recognition in Texas. And I didn't realize how important that was. But COVID hit and we shut down. March 22nd is the day we announced we were shutting down. We were shut down for several months. And when we opened back up, we had 0 members. So we had built all this momentum around opening. And then people bought Pelotons and started working out at home. And it really changed the way people worked out. I think that's where we started the shift from doing tons of cardio to really heavy weightlifting. We've all seen that kind of be a trend. And we stayed open for 2 years. It was a struggle. I pumped around $10,000 a month into the business just to keep it open. And that was me working as a hairstylist behind the chair and owning the salon to pump the money in. My husband had quit his job. He sold a successful construction business to open it. So we used that money to open it. And it sucked. But now I see that it was like honestly, a really expensive master's degree in business, honestly, because from that moment, I saw how to scale businesses, how to create the documents you need to take one location to 7. And I thought, okay, the salon is thriving. Fitness sucks, but the salon is thriving and we're waitlisted for renters. And so I started buying up salons that were closing because of COVID. So not only was the salon closing, but all the stylists that worked for the salon weren't going to have jobs when they came back. So I was like, okay, we've got all these stylists who want to work and the world is changing.
You saw an opportunity.
Yes. People don't want to work for other people because they feel like it's so secure. And the second COVID hit, everybody lost their job. So it wasn't as secure as they thought it was. Just getting a paycheck and working for someone else is not always the answer. So they all wanted to be self-employed. All these hairstylists wanted to be self-employed. So I started buying up salons. I bought one on South Lamar. I bought one downtown and I started there and those waitlisted. So I was like, okay, let's keep going. And that was in 2020. 2021, I was pregnant with Sophia. But while I was pregnant, I did Cedar Park and Gateway while I was pregnant and while I was postpartum, which I needed to feel useful. It was important to me to not, I think it might just be to prove to myself, there's nothing to prove. If you want to just be pregnant and enjoy that moment in your life, I think that's wonderful too. But for me, I was like, people said I wouldn't be able to be a business owner and have a baby. And I was like, well, I think you can. I think I can. No, I don't. I just have one. I opened Cedar Park and Gateway. And then in 22, in 21, was it 2022? I opened Barton Hills. And then we started on Georgetown and finished that in 2023. So now we have 7.
So there was a lot of resiliency and also going against the status quo, like, oh, you're going to be pregnant. You're going to need to slow down. Be like, why don't I open 2 locations? Why don't I do this?
Yes. And when I was buying these up, people were like, you're crazy. It is COVID. The world is never going to be the same. People are not going to keep doing their hair. There's not going to be any money for this. And then they were also like, hairstylists can't be self-employed. You've got this big idea that all hairstylists are capable of doing this and they're not, which again, huge myth busted. Hairstylists are brilliant and they're people, like they can talk to people, they're therapists, they can do a technical skill while they do that, and they're physically active at the same time. So to say that is not something that is hard is just wrong. But yeah, just proving that we deserve a place, that we don't need some big business person to come open the salons for us. Hairstylists can open the salons and run them. That was something that was hard. And when I say it was hard, it wasn't just not caring what people think. It was, can I have a loan? Wait, what's your background? Oh, you're just a hairstylist. Wait, you're going to have hairstylists be business owners? I don't know about that. That was the part that was challenging. Like, essentially, you're going into real estate and you're just a hairstylist. And I'm like, yes, I am. And I've done it 3 times now. Trust me, it's working. Now I have a name in it and people will give me leases and they'll loan me money. And it's wonderful. But I think it took 6 locations to get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I love your resiliency and you just don't take no for an answer and you always find a way.
Yes.
Something that a lot of people don't know about you is that you're a big Abraham Esther Hicks fan.
I am.
And for those first that don't even know who that is or what that is, can you tell them what it is and who it is? And then can you tell them why you love it and what it's done for you?
Sure. So essentially, it's law of attraction. It's just the idea that our thoughts are powerful and that we can really manifest the things we want into our lives. Now, Abraham Hicks is just someone who I really like the way that they present this message. If you now you're going to go look it up and you're going to be like, okay, Bex is crazy because Abraham Hicks,
super woo, which is amazing. But go ahead, Bex. Explain
when it comes to spirituality and what you choose for your life, I think it's important to take what serves you and maybe don't take what doesn't from different belief systems. And that's what I've always done. So Abraham Hicks believes that she has a spirit guide that speaks through her and preaches things about the law of attraction. Now, I believe that she believes that. I've had a hard time 100% being like, okay, she is, having this spirit guide come through her and he's millions of years old and he's speaking for her, whatever. But the message is amazing. I've gone and seen her in Amsterdam and different places. And essentially it's the idea that we have all these ideas and these thoughts and these things that we want, and we're just storing them away, and that the universe is conspiring in your favor. So all these things you want are yours if you just allow it into your life and you align with it and you choose it. And one thing that I really had to learn is the universe can't differentiate between if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts or bad things, or if you're the person, which I used to be, that gets in a cycle of negative thinking and you're like, what's the worst that could happen? And you spin off. The universe is going to hear that and think that's what you want. So if you're constantly thinking about the bad things in your life or the things that are undesirable, you might see that you're getting more of that. And the opposite is if you're constantly dreaming big and taking action. I believe in taking action. A lot of law of attraction is, it just comes to you. Well, I think you have to take action. I think it's taking action in the direction of your dreams. You're going to get more of that. Like your thoughts become things. And so it's a little woo. I'm sitting in my office. I have a big thing of crystals over here. I just kind of, I like the idea that we're powerful beings and that we can ask for the things we want and that they are given to us. And I grew up very Southern Baptist. So like that could be that God is who you're asking for those things. Like I think that there's lots of words for God, whether it's universe or source or whatever you choose. It's really the same idea. And I think that if we can embrace that in general, we just believe that there's a higher power that wants us to have what we want and that we're not just alone. I think that's really what it all comes down to.
Yeah. And I will also say, because I'm definitely very woo, Esther Hicks, if you look her up, it's just a regular lady that like says, I channel source. And an Abraham is not just one source, it's a multiple sources.
Yeah.
And it's wild. You got to listen to their YouTube. You can feel the energy. It's insane. Yes. It's definitely come in handy during like really hard times for us.
Yeah. Like, no, it's amazing. It just gives me comfort to listen, because a lot of what the podcast is, and I recommend anybody kind of listening if you're feeling a little off, it's people asking questions about their life. And a lot of the times she's asking them questions back. Why is that happening? What have your thoughts been? What has sent you in this direction? And then she just takes them through this series of, but what if you thought about this instead? Or what if you went in this direction instead? Or what if the reason it's not working is because you're not aligning your thoughts with it? And it's really cool to listen to because you go, oh, I am saying I want this, but I'm acting the opposite. I'm not doing what I'm saying I want. So it's just not lining up for me. So it's very interesting. I will say the conferences there's like a cruise. And I was like, I would never. They're weird. Everybody's like super
never say never.
Cool. They're happy. But so I went to Amsterdam and I follow it, but my dad follows it more than I do. I've been following for about 12 years now, but there's like a song everybody like sings and dances to in the beginning, and everybody knows every word. Me and my dad are like, oh my God, what is happening right now? Like, where are we? Is this going to be like the weirdest thing we've ever done in our life? And then once that was over and she started talking, it was really cool. But it took a second, like, this is everybody
out of my comfort zone.
Yes. And everybody embraces it in a different way. So it was very cool, but definitely, okay, it's interesting.
But what was interesting about your story is that your intuition kept guiding you. Like, I'm going to open up the salon. I'm going to do this. People were telling you you're crazy. It's COVID. Like the outside circumstances were telling you no, but you were just like, no, I'm going to do this.
And I'm incredibly led by my gut. So even when I'm looking at like lease spaces, I can walk into a space and there not be anything wrong with it. It's just a blank canvas, and like just parking in the parking lot, walking through the door, I can be like instantly no. Like my head will start moving before I even say anything, before I even realize it. Like I'll be already nodding yes or saying no. And I have to be really careful about like when people are showing me these.
You're like walking in, you're like,
I know. And I do. Or if I really love something, like I'm like, oh my God, this is the best opportunity. I can sense it. Like my gut will be like this one thing, like this strong desire for it. Yeah. And I have to be careful and act like, yeah, it's fine, because I'm about to start the negotiation process with this broker. So I can't be like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. I have to have it. So I'll be like nodding. Yeah. And I'll be looking around and be like, oh, that's going to have to be fixed. And like, but I instantly know. And it's like that with most things in my life. And anytime, like with the cycling studio, I think I had a lot of no's, and I kept telling myself, this is just because it's new, or it's because you're just scared. And I kept having these things that just felt a little bit, never
You gaslighted yourself a little
bad.
bit.
Yes, but never like bad. Just, I was like, ooh, like I'd wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I think that's a problem. And I don't know if this is the right location. And this is going to be tricky. And some of the things that I'm hearing about how many members we're going to have, I just don't understand how, and questioning it and just trying to blindly trust it. Cause that's what I wanted. I did want it to happen. It just, probably the timing felt wrong for lots of reasons. And,
you could feel it probably.
And I knew I needed to close it after about 6 months. I knew.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking, so the people who loved it, we had 50 loyal members, and I still see them. They loved it. It changed their lives. It was really important to them. And I think that was the purpose it served. But I kept keeping it open for the wrong reasons. And 2 years later, we probably lost.
It was an expensive mistake.
Close to $1 million. Yeah. We lost close to $1 million on that by the time it was all said and done. So I still pay $1,500 a month towards an SBA loan.
Oh my goodness.
For that business.
Oh my goodness. There you go. Okay. The one thing that I noticed about you is that you definitely lead by example, and you do have that gut instinct where you, even with your hiring process. So you do, I wouldn't say manage, but you have a lot of women and a lot of men that work at your salon. How many people work in your space?
We have 5 people on the leadership team, and that's like the people who are managers are like responsible for how the salon operates. But we have around 110 hairstylists that work in the spaces. Okay. So we're like right around, we stay around 120 people total.
Okay. So 120 people that essentially look up to you for leadership, for guidance. Yes. How is that for you to transition into that, or did it just feel natural?
It was a hard transition. Leadership, I will say, even if it comes naturally to you, it is something you have to study and you have to learn. And just being a natural leader is not enough to be a good leader to your team. So it might be enough to get started, but in order to truly give your team what they need and to make everything work the way it wants to, I've read a lot of books, I've studied it, I ask a lot of questions, I've made a lot of mistakes, but it's been a learned process. And it's also been important to let go of tasks that I'm not good at, but I feel like I need to be doing. So in the beginning, I thought I had to do everything. I'm the best at it. It's mine. I need to do everything. And now I will only do the tasks in the salon that are my unique ability. So if it is not my top skill, I'm amazing at this and I enjoy doing it, I really, unless I absolutely have to, I won't do it. And the way I've made that work is I've found people who enjoy those tasks and are good at them. So if I get a message, and I have an open door policy, my stylist can text me anytime, any of them, all 120. But if they text me about something that is not my unique ability or something that I don't feel like I'm the best person to help them with, or I don't want to help them with, just to be blunt, like this is like a broken faucet or whatever, I'll be like, great, I'll let Mick know, she'll be reaching out to you. That's the conversation. And I pass it on to whoever is better at it than me. But sometimes it's hard to realize that you're not good at everything and that the best leaders are the ones that can utilize a team and admit that they're bad at certain things and let go of certain tasks and really allow growth to happen without being involved in every single part of it.
One thing I noticed is that your clients, not your clients, but the people that work with you or under you or work in the salon, they look at you like a leader, a guide, support system, and somebody that can help them advance their career. And also you really are rooting for them, where I feel like a lot of places, there's a lot of cattiness, a lot of competition. Where did that come from and why is that important to you?
I think a lot of it is I worked in a lot of salons where I felt like it was us against them. And I don't know why that dynamic happens where the management team, the owners, anybody on that side of the business was considered the enemy. And it was just, you had to fight with them in order to get what you needed or what you deserved. I don't know if that was a mindset or if that was actually happening, but I don't think I've ever worked in a commission salon where I didn't feel that way. So when I opened bex+Co, first of all, I was a hairstylist and I was working side by side with all of my coworkers and renters. So we were just teammates. I had to live in the same space they did. So it was important that everything worked out great. And then from there, we really decided we were going to build the brand and culture around supporting each other, kindness, loving each other, and really being a space where you were empowered. So everybody has a key to the door. Everybody's an owner. I actually call my stylist, usually I call them partners in the business because they're there more than I am. They know the space better than I do. And they take a lot of ownership of the space, which is why it works so well. And I think really building that as the brand and the culture of bex+Co, that we are all on the same team. There's enough room for all of us. There's enough clients for all of us. We can all win. Every single person in a space can win and make a ton of money. We're not competing with each other is revolutionary for the beauty industry, because that's just not what it's ever been, ever, in anywhere I've ever worked anyway. And I see that change happening overall. I'm not saying that I started it. I'm saying that it's a shift that's happening and we just happen to jump on a little bit ahead of the game.
Yeah, I'm a patron of bex+Co. So I go and I have a couple of services that I go get my hair done. I go get waxed. And I had a salon in San Diego that I would go to, and I've had my hairstylist for years, and I would go see her, and the constant cattiness from not even the other hairstylist, but sometimes the hairstylist towards me being the client, or just I'm very sensitive to energy. So I could be like, oh, this person, I could feel like their negative vibes towards me or something. And I could just feel all the things. There was so much negativity. And when you walk into bex+Co, it's not like that. It's like you can tell that the foundation's been there, the culture's been there. Like you really have led the foundation of it.
Yeah. And I'm an empath and sensitive to energies. And I think that's actually a common trait amongst hairstylists. So a lot of times you'll talk to a hairstylist and you'll say, what was it that didn't work at your last salon? And they'll have a laundry list of reasons, but the main thing they'll say is it just felt bad. Like it just felt toxic. And I walked in and I felt heavy. And I'm like, that's a real thing that lives in the space. If people are coming in angry all the time and nobody enjoys what they're doing, everybody's going to feel it. And that's not just the stylist, that's the clients too. And that's going to affect everybody's ability to earn.
It exists. If you go into the DMV, I don't think they have the DMV here in Texas. I think it's called like Texas State or something. But if you go into the DMV, the vibes are off. The vibes are off.
Everybody's mad.
Everyone's mad. No one's happy to be there. The efficiency is like at a zero, like everything. When I walk into bex+Co, it feels the efficiency there, the high vibes are there, the music's there. And that's where we're going. And that's where we're moving. So where do you want to take, what's the vision for bex+Co?
We've got a lot of really cool things coming up. Nothing is official, but we've had a lot of offers, and it's hard not to just jump on and say yes to all of them, but to really go with my gut. And I've had a couple I've turned down that could have been amazing. And the answer was just no. And I don't know why it was no. It was just no. But
you learned from your cycling experience
that even though it sounded amazing, the answer just had to be no. Like that it just was wrong. But right now we've got somebody who would really love to franchise us and offer opportunities to, I hope, hairstylists and people in the industry who want to own their own business, but don't know how to get into it. And now that I've been through a franchise that didn't work for me, it's like my number one goal to make sure that I'm creating something that can be successful for someone. I'm not setting somebody up for failure. So I'm exploring that option because I think it would be cool to have hundreds of bex+Co's all over and people get to experience what we have here in other locations. And we're recreating me, like owners that really have a joy for what they're doing, but can't seem to make it work. We'd love to convert those to bex+Co and really show them how to build that brand and culture and how to make money at it and how to teach other stylists how to make a lot of money at what they're doing.
You are obviously in the beauty industry and you love the glam.
Yes.
Like if people don't know Bex, she loved the glam. Because this is my question, which is like a question, just observation. What you're in the business, yes, you are in the business of real estate, but you're in the business of transformation. You're in the business of a woman walks in, she goes into the chair, I'm going to get my hair cut soon. And it's got Coco Chanel quote, a woman that changes her hair is about to change her life.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about that transformation for women, for your customer, your client coming in? Like, why do you want them to feel so glamorous?
I always say, and I actually heard this from Julie Rice, who opened Soul Cycles, and it really stuck with me, was it's not just about that haircut. It's about the experience. So curtain up, curtain down. The experience starts when you walk in the door. So it's about the way you feel. It's about the aesthetic of the salon. It's about the conversation you have with your stylist and how they make you feel. And I think when you have that really wonderful experience and you leave with this beautiful haircut and you feel extra good, or you get whatever you get done, you get your nails done or whatever, it's like you get to take that experience with you. So you had this 2 hours where you really invested in yourself and your self-care, and you felt great, and you talked to your hairstylist, and you just felt like you were special. And then what you leave with is like your little piece of it that you get to take with you into the world. And I think that might be what's so special about it are the people. I always said I was a really average hairstylist. I learned all the skills and I do a good job. I'm meticulous, but there's nothing special about how I do hair, but I'm a really good people person. And so I built a really good business. I made a ton of money as a stylist. And I think most of it was about how I made people feel, less than how I made people look.
I love that. And to you, what does magnetism mean?
I would say magnetism is closely related to inspiration. So the more you're able to inspire people and to share your gifts and to allow your true self to show and like what you have to offer in a very vulnerable, very genuine way, the more not just people are attracted to you, the more the whole universe is attracted to you and conspires in your favor. Because when you're really utilizing your gifts and giving to the world, I think things just come back to you. And so that's why I've always been so big on, give more and expect less. Like every single stylist I chat with, like people are always like, you spent a lot of time with me and what do you get out of it? And I'm like, well, I hope you rent for a long time and that benefits me. But more than anything, I want to make you successful. I want to make you happy. I want you to live your dream. And if I'm out there really giving those gifts, like I know how to help somebody do that. So if I can give that gift to someone, I feel like all of that is going to come back into my life. And I think that's what magnetism means for me. Just that attraction of all the things that you want in the world coming back.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And if people wanted to work with you and they don't live in the Austin area, you have your Beauty Empire Blueprint. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So one of my passions, yes, I love my salon, bex+Co, and I want everybody to work for me, of course. But bex+Co exists because I wanted stylists to be able to move out of commission salons where they had to ask for permission to go to lunch and to take a vacation. And they had to have somebody choose their hours and their prices and what services they perform. I wanted them to be able to move out of those spaces into spaces where they felt empowered, where they could be self-employed, where they could create their own businesses and their own brands. And I felt like there wasn't a lot of information out there truly teaching a stylist how to do that. So stylists were doing it. They're doing it all the time, but they were having to go through all this trial and error, like lots of mess ups and lots of messy. And so I wanted to provide a course for stylists that allows them to skip over all the trial and error and all the messy and just really on their very first try, do it the right way and make a ton of money in their first year and find happiness and freedom. I created a course that is available for all stylists to use no matter what kind of self-employment opportunity you have. It might be a rental salon that's like a suite rental, whatever that is in your area. It's step-by-step guide, 4 modules on exactly how to set up your business. It's got some stuff about accounting and taxes. I'm not an accountant, but I do have really good people on my team who advise me. So I have information about that. It's about how to transfer all your clients over successfully. And it's about how to navigate those hard topics like leaving the salon you're at, what's ethical as far as taking clients, how to get around non-competes until they go away. So yeah, it's the Beauty Empire Blueprint. And you can find that on my website, bexirvine.com, or really you can find it on my Instagram.
Yeah.
You can find it anywhere.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And we helped Bex create that.
Yes.
And it's incredible what you've done and what has continued to create and manifest from all your creations. This was so nice to hear your story.
Yeah.
And I know because most of our meetings are like, let's get to work, right?
Yeah.
And just to hear what your inspiration, you're aspiring to, what you're wanting to create. And like you said, you're a people person. That is important. That's important for a leader.
Yeah, it really is. And to truly have a love for people. And just side note, and I didn't say this, but the team you have behind you is so important. And Stefi has been a huge part of she's helped me build my course. They've helped me with podcasting and with YouTube and essentially everything I'm doing right now. Her and Andrew have helped, but also just having a cheerleader and someone motivating you to do more and believing in you. It's really huge. Big compliment to Stefi for all that help, but also encouraging others to build your team, build the right team behind you that gives you that support and really catapults you forward.
Perfect. And then my last question, if somebody was on the fence about working with bex+Co, what do you want them to know? What do you want them to hear?
I think when somebody's on the fence, it comes from a place of fear. And I think we spend a lot of our life living in fear. So we tell ourselves, when I decide to do this, or if I can do this, or not now, but when I'm going to do this, but not now. I think sometimes you just have to do it scared. You have to just decide that it's going to be the right move for your life and take the leap and let people help you. Let others that have done it before you, let me help you, let other stylists that have done it help you, and really know that even if you fail, and I don't really believe in failures, I think that it's cheesy, but it's all opportunities to learn and grow. But if it doesn't work the first time, you're setting yourself up for when it does work for you. So instead of being constantly afraid that you're going to fail, take the leap. And if it doesn't work, that's okay, because there's always going to be a commission salon or somewhere to go work. You're always going to have your talent. You just have to try it.
And where can people find you? Where do you hang out?
So mostly on Instagram. It's also known as Bex. I also have a blog and a website, bexirvine.com. I'm on Spotify, so you can listen.
Glam chats.
Yes, glam chats. Every week I have a new little chat that just talks through, not honestly beauty industry, but really anybody who's an entrepreneur or professional or just interested in growth or self-care, growth mindset. It's there. So glam chats come out every week. They're on Spotify, YouTube. You can join my email list. That's a big one. That's on my website, or you can get there through my Instagram. But that way I send you an email every single time a new glam chat comes up. And then lastly, if anybody wanted to come to Glam Chats Live, I know that if you're listening to this after August 1st, that won't be helpful, but August 1st at our Gateway location, check my Instagram. We've got tons of information, but Stefi will be there. Andrew, her husband, will be there speaking on my panel. So we'd love to have you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.